Brian, stop the tape.
Okay, Mike. Oh, wait, rewind that scene, please.
Rewind that scene.
Rewind that scene.
Rewind it.
Rewind that scene. Rewind that scene.
I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Brian Bonds.
And together, this is Bobo Touch Rewind That Scene. A podcast where we go back in time to our favorite cult classics of the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and beyond. Right, Bon Bon Bear?
Yes, we get to really go back in time and relive some of our favorite childhood films and current films, and we get to tap into the brains and creative minds of the artists and crew who made the actual movies. Welcome back. It's great to be here, baby.
Oh, Brian's back in full form. That's the Brian that I missed. You see that? Yeah, there he is. So,
just a little bit of coffee and a little Benzel Dazzles.
Yeah. A little Spritz Dazzle? Is that what you said? A little Spritz?
Yeah, a little Benzel Dazzle Spritz.
The best part is that I would say 99% of these movies that we watch were in Brian's parents' living room that had an old tube TV, a really old Micron computer, right? That was right next to the couch.
Yes.
Looking over the third story outlook to the R train subway.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And we rented this movie on Ovington and Fifth Avenue at the video store in Bay Ridge at the time.
Rest in peace, video stores.
Yeah, it was good times, man.
I also noticed that we're like obsessed with martial arts and karate, and not only because we love Brandon Lee. We've had The Crow on our first podcast, but there's a common theme here, right, Bonds? With all this karate, violence, we love bad guys.
Yeah, we love
really
bad guys. Love action films. Love really cheesy soundtracks. You know, and in addition to this film, there was another film that we loved that came out around the same time that also starred Brandon Lee.
Are you gonna say not Big Trouble in Little China?
Close.
Showdown a Little Tokyo.
One of the best scenes where Brandon Lee, or I think it's Dolph Lundgren, he literally jumps over a car. Yeah, but we're not going to get too deep into that.
Yes.
But this timer had so many good
cheesy badness
action.
And goodness.
Yeah, and years to come was like Rumble in the Bronx, Jackie Chan in America.
We watched
other
all those.
films like that. Yeah. But Rapid Fire is the film we're covering today, which is directed by Dwight H. Little and stars one of our favorite actors in the entire world,
Brandon Lee. But also Powers Boothe. Powers Boothe, I have to say, when I rewatched it, he is great in this.
Yes.
Of course, Nick Mancuso, Mr. Serrano, the head boss. And we also really love Kate Hodge, who's on the show today.
That's true.
In case you didn't see the title and the thing.
We're very excited to talk to her. She is an incredible driving force in this film and really got some intimate fighting and just love and just personal scenes with Brandon.
Yeah.
And Powers Boothe is great too in this movie. Rest in peace.
Yeah, I mean, she plays Detective Karla Withers. She's awesome. She has a lot of screen time with Brandon. And we just want to know, we want to know more about how it was to be on set with this type of movie, handling guns, getting crazy. She has a pretty romantic scene with him, from what I recall.
In 1991, it came out in 1992, and it blew the audience mind. It is an absolute honor to just be on a call with you and big fans, and really wanted to learn more about your journey into acting and getting into this role in particular, and your path to starting from acting and auditioning for different roles, and then getting to this role as Detective Karla Withers in Rapid Fire.
Okay, well, it's a long story. The long journey, the long tale. Well, I got into acting because as a kid, I was a dancer, wanted to be a ballerina. And then I realized that was a very short career, but I did love being on stage. So I got it to UCLA as a dance major, and then I started sneaking into acting classes, and then kind of dropped out my senior year because I was like, I'm going to be an actress. I don't want to be a college graduate. I mean, that would be weird. So my parents were like, well, if you're going to do it, do it. I got a waitress job. My parents cut me off financially, and I was totally fine with that. And was waitressing and auditioning, getting a little commercial. I got a commercial, Tales from the Crypt, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
And then and then She-Wolf of London. And then the big job was Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee.
Yes.
And that was back in the days when they would do like get down to 4 women, and then we each had to screen test with him and do that whole scene in the apartment where I'm like, whatever I say to him, and then we end up in bed.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely underlying sexual tension there. It was nice. Yeah.
Yes. So there were 4 girls. I don't know who the other ones were, but they picked me, and I was over the moon. And that was really my first big job. Big job.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what was it like meeting Brandon Lee for the first time and like doing these scenes with him? Like what that must have been something.
Oh my God, it was insane. He was so sweet. He was so like a gentleman. I think, I mean, I was 24 or 25. I don't think he was much older than me, but he was very, very like humble, extremely considerate, gentlemanly. He was really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Are there any I mean, there's so many like epic shootouts and things that like, especially like when you first meet him, that scene where it's like so confusing with like the bad guys and then, the real cops and then it's just like so much like going on there. Are there any like fun stories making those scenes?
The shootout scenes were pretty frightening.
Yeah, I can imagine.
There were like pre-explosions everywhere. The stunt guys were like all ready for the entire restaurant to start exploding. And I was just like, I don't think I was in the restaurant scene, but I was on set watching it, and I was just like, oh my God, we're all gonna die.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
I remember at the end you have this epic dive. I was like, you did this dive scene that was awesome at the very end.
The dive?
Yeah, you did this epic jump.
Oh, the epic jump in the laundry department, in the laundry room scene, yes. And that's when I actually had to run and shoot a gun and drop your weapon. It was so exciting. I felt like such a badass.
I was good. Well, it definitely comes through.
Yeah. And I got to punch him in the stomach.
Yeah, we were going to talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, how did you channel, what special tricks did you pull to, really sell that badass detective vibe? I mean, you already got that vibe. I mean, nobody wants to mess with, Karla Withers,
I know. Well, first of all, I was very upset that the badass was named Karla Withers.
Yeah.
I'm like, it should have been like Carly Jones or something. But anyways, working with Powers Boothe, he gave me so much like cop direction. He's like, this is your job. You do it every day. You're used to bag. He was such a good mentor for all of those scenes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then, of course, Brandon really just said, hit me as hard as you can. I dare you. And I literally hurt my hand punching.
Oh, on his brick abs.
On his brick abs.
Jeez.
Oh, and that.
Oh, my God, I love this.
And the little side note, when we were doing the love scene.
Yeah.
They were trying to get me to show my butt.
No.
And
oh, my God.
I'd signed a contract, like waist up nudity only.
Yeah.
But of course, when you're on the set, the director's like, yeah, but and Brandon Lee, amazing man that he is, said, just have her pull down my pants and fix it in the edit.
Nice.
So when you see the pants coming off, that's his butt, not mine.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Now everybody's going to go watch that scene again.
I was going to say.
He was like, just use my ass and cut it and fix it in the edit. And I'm like, yeah, make my ass look beautiful and Asian. Because I always say, that's my butt. But it's totally my butt.
That's good.
I love that. That's so funny.
Isn't that cool?
It really is cool. And it's always interesting here to hear these tidbits, right? Like such a different sort of scene and vibe compared to the laundry room shootout scene. And always curious to know, what are some of the more challenging scenes to film in a movie like this? Is it the crazy scenes like that, you think?
I think the most intense scene was probably the scene between Powers Boothe and I when he comes in and I'm hiding Brandon. And because it was a long scene in a real apartment in Chicago. There's a lot of corners and a lot of like the lighting challenge and it wasn't just like a shoot 'em up moment. It wasn't an action sequence. It was like human to human sequence in a tiny apartment with a lot of crew members trying to be intimate And that was really fascinating to do.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
really
like when
nice.
you really look at it and you're like, how do they get all those people in that tiny apartment?
Yeah.
That's insane.
And you're like sort of walking, the camera guy's walking around you and you're pretending like, he's not there.
I mean, it's really one of our favorite films that we grew up watching, and really attached ourselves to just the amazing action that was coming out then, as as the great cop chemistry that you have going on. There's so many great scenes in this movie, even like when you give the file to him about his dad.
Oh yeah.
And all that stuff.
It's a good, like, meaningful stuff there too.
Yeah.
For the story.
It was amazing. I could not believe that I was doing it. Another kind of eerie story is when it was 20th Century Fox. So it was a huge studio movie. So we went to the premiere, and there, after the movie, it's like dun 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 dun, and I'm like, I'm in this movie. I can't believe I'm in this movie. And so we went to the bar or whatever that was serving the after party, and I sort of saw Brandon standing at the bar. So I walked up, and he's like, "So Kate, how does it feel to be at our first and last movie premiere?" And I sort of laughed and I said, "You're probably right." Because I'm like, I didn't think I'd get another feature film, and I didn't. I'm not like a studio picture. And he died doing his next movie.
Yes.
I know.
That is,
I know.
It was like, I thought it was funny. And then I thought when he died, that's the first thing I thought of.
Well, we're diehard Crow fans, so we're like so in love with him and that performance. Yeah, I know. It's eerie. It's eerie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a sarcastic thing to say too.
Yeah.
He was alone at this big movie premiere over at the thing, just sort of taking it all in. And I think, I walked up and I said, "This is pretty wild, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, kind of our first and last movie." And I laughed because I was like,
"Oh man,
definitely mine." But he was sort of spiritual and sort of like in tune. That's why when I was just working with him, he seemed like he was so much older than he was. He looked beautiful, but he acted so wise and so, so knowing.
Totally. I can hear that in a lot of the interviews that he did for The Crow, where you could just hear how he carries himself and the things he says,
Yeah.
It seems like there was a really cool, well-rounded cast in this film with, really great action and characters. And curious to know, too, what you enjoy most about different projects that you've worked on in the past and what you're currently working on. Like, do you enjoy films? Do you enjoy working on TV more?
More TV stuff,
I know that the workload is I guess, different comparatively, right?
Well, I did a lot of network TV, and it's fun, but it's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and it's, I've done even guest spots. I remember I did a guest spot on Jag. You remember that?
Yeah.
And David, Jimmy Stewart, or I don't know, they all have three names. I was like, "God, this is great. You have this great gig for 10 years. And he just was like, 10 years of 18-hour days.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a long time.
It's grueling.
Yeah.
Whereas movies, it's sort of beginning, middle, end. You work with a group of people for a certain amount of time. So it's more like a circus. I try to like a traveling circus thing.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
Where a movie's more intense and more intimate because there's an end. Whereas network television, you're like, "Oh, I hope it never ends." And then you're like, "Oh my God, it's never going to end."
Yeah.
Like 6 seasons later, here you are.
Yeah.
I know,
Season
crazy.
renewal.
Raking in the money and miserable. They're all the like major stars of network TV shows. They're like, "I hate this," and I'm like, "But you have 14 houses, so shut up."
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it all pays for it. It all makes sense later.
And what are you currently?
Well, I just found out yesterday that the last film I did, called Headless Horseman, small movie with Asylum Pictures, is getting a theatrical release.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. Congrats.
And it's sort of back
really
to the
exciting.
horror genre that I started in with, Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Good.
It's like 4 or 5 scenes. I play like a drug dealer's assistant hot boss lady.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes.
Love it.
Bringing the badass vibe back.
Yeah, that's definitely
Yes,
a role.
I totally want to play villains.
Yeah.
I don't think it's called The Headless Horseman. It's called Headless Horseman.
Headless Horseman.
Awesome.
All right, well, we'll make sure everyone knows to check it out.
Yeah, please.
And if there's anyone that you wanted to punch in the stomach really hard right now in current time, who would it be as a Detective Withers?
Who would Detective with?
Yeah, just uppercut someone right now in real life.
I hate to, this might offend some of my fans, but it would have to be the Donald.
Oh, yes.
Perfect.
Yes, same here. We'll be there.
We're with you on that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Kate, you're the
Kate
best.
Hodge, thank you so much for your time and coming on our show.
What a story.
Yes, amazing stuff. I can't believe all that.
I really love hearing the process, man.
Yeah.
It always is so special, especially the way they made films, at this time in history. And, there was talks about Rapid Fire 2 prior to Brandon's death.
Oh, shit, there was.
Yeah, but unfortunately that never happened.
No,
Century
but then
20th
do you think
Century Fox was interested.
Yeah, but do you think, obviously because of this movie, he got the crow?
Yes, yeah.
Because one thing I got to point out, Baby Bon, and I say on every podcast, I call you Baby Bon. There's a lot of scenes where it's essentially the crow. There's a scene with, what's his name? The Powers Boothe, Mace, where he's running almost like the rooftops, and then he goes...
the Ernie Hudson scene.
Yeah, the Ernie Hudson, and then he jumps into his car, dude. Because
I remember that. That's right.
He sees, he takes him in under his wing. And they share the whole father backstory, from beginning to end. But that's like the Ernie Hudson scene in The Crow.
That's crazy.
He does the same kick. He kicks the guy in the face and he goes, "Ha!" He laughs and does a lot of the same mannerisms. It's kind of amazing because it's a lot of those similarities to The Crow, man. It's unbelievable.
He brought those martial art techniques into the role for Eric Draven, and it's really, you could see his professional side of how badass he was with martial arts in this movie. A lot of people just either know about this because of The Crow, or went back and saw this. I know after The Crow had come out and the unfortunate events of what happened with Brandon, but this film saw a big surge in VHS sales.
Oh yeah,
and it's just pretty insane because you're right. There's a lot of just fun, explosive action stuff, and very similar to some of the fight choreographs in The Crow. You're right.
Yeah, no, it was great because this was before The Crow. It's just he's kind of like Jake Lowe, accidentally seeing this guy get killed. He's kind of plays a parallel role in a weird way. It's kind of awesome, and it's before The Crow even came out.
Yeah. A lot of these moves were actually orchestrated by Brandon himself, which I find very great.
Yeah,
it's the way of the Brandon.
I love the Brandon. And thank you so much, Kate, for being on this show. Thanks for Ruben Dax for mixing and mastering this episode. Look out for our web series, Bobo Touch Helpline. Check us out. Do a deep dive. Follow us on socials. And we'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks for listening.
You're the best, guys. Kate, thanks again. And what he said, stay in touch and follow us. Don't drink a roach.
Bye.